Alrighty, welcome back. Today we're going to talk about Saperavi, another indigenous grape from the country of Georgia. As I mentioned in the last video, I picked out three Saperavis that I think represent sort of different styles, different regions within Georgia, and hopefully, if you get to taste all three of them, you will get a better understanding of what Saperavi is all about. Oftentimes I get asked, but what's Saperavi like? And I think people are looking for me to say something along the lines of, it's like a Cabernet blended with Syrah. However, I really push people to kind of think about grape varieties as individual things. So, like, the reason you know what Cabernet is like is because you've tasted a lot of different Cabernets from South Africa, from California, from France, and you understand what Cabernet is. Same with Pinot Noirs. And hopefully you can kind of get to the same place with Saperavi, especially now that there's going to be more and more Saperavis available on the market. So I just realized that the first wine that I started with in the introductory video was the Georgian Valley's Arcatstelli, and here I have the Georgian Valley's Saperavi. I have to say, Pilvino, who's the producer of these wines, is one of the larger wineries in Georgia, but they have been making really high quality, consistent wines for over 20 years. They own a lot of their own vineyards, but because of high demand around the world, they also work with local farmers, over 60 different farmers, to buy grapes to meet the demand. They're sort of seen as the Robin Hood of Georgia, as they're able to sort of support the economy by working with local farmers and then selling that wine internationally, where they have a really great reputation. This particular wine is almost a little flamboyant. It's a great expression of what the Saperavi grape is. You'll get notes of plum, tobacco. It's a peppery wine. It's pretty juicy, but has really great balance and almost like notes of a little tobacco coming through as well. I think this is a great way to sort of start to understand Saperavi. If this is one of the first times that you're trying Saperavi, this is the best place to start. For the second wine we have Friend Cellar Saperavi. Now, Friend Cellar is a company that was founded by a group of friends that all met in Georgia. And what they did was they basically pulled their money together to create this modern chateau-style winery in the middle of Kakheti region. Really cool location on a place where there was an old wine cellar discovered. They found 5 or 6 old qvevris that were a few centuries old and decided to build the winery on that spot. Now, they're located a stone's throw away from the Nel Carisi compound, which is an old monastery built in like 2nd century BC and has one of the oldest churches that was ever built, dating back to I think like the 3rd or 4th century. Note that it's 2015 vintage and it's holding up so well. It's got so much life, so much brightness, higher elevation of like unripe cherry and again plum. It's a little less smoky. The pepper is definitely there, but this wine is going to have much higher acidity. This is a perfect wine if you're having like a beef stew, and especially if you get those little like sweet carrots in there. I mean, the pairing is just unbelievable. And finally, the third Saperavi, I'm really excited about this one. This wine just got 92 points from Wine and Spirits magazine. That's going to be published in December. Daniele actually is a really funny story behind the producer. The owner of the winery is Danish. Olaf married Eka, who's Georgian, and had to take a Christian name for the ceremony. And they just said, why don't you be, the Danish dude, which in Georgian is Daniele, or from Denmark. And so, having a great sense of humor, he basically said, well, this is going to be the name of the winery. The winemaker in Daniele Winery is a young woman named Anna Hitarishvili. She has experience harvesting and working in wineries in New Zealand, Germany, France. The vineyard is planted on a really steep side of the mountain in the eastern part of Kakheti in a beautiful village called Argohi. This is probably going to be the most familiar flavor profile that you'll see that you taste out of all the Saperavis. The wine is made in a very European style. It's well balanced, it's silky, smooth tannins. It's a big wine, but has really great acidity with all the typical Saperavi notes. So you'll get a lot more of that tobacco and black pepper in there, maybe a little more plum and black cherries, more dark fruit. And again, the balance in this wine is just phenomenal. All right, guys, that wraps it up. Keep an eye out for the Georgian category. Spirit Gourmet is going to continue to carry exciting new wines from the region. And hopefully, now that you know Archetzelli and Saperavi, you can add it to your arsenal of grape varieties that you already know and continue to enjoy and discover new awesome wines.